The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with voices from many different worlds. Strange sounds filled the air as dozens of alien species talked to each other through translation devices. Some made clicking sounds, others whistled like birds, and a few sang in harmony. The massive room could hold thousands of beings, and today it was almost full. Ambassador Zethkar stood up from his chair. He was tall and thin, with skin that looked like clear crystal. His forearms moved gracefully as he called for quiet. The blue light from his eyes swept across the room as he looked at the floating star maps above their heads. "My fellow council members," he began, his voice deep and serious. "Today we must discuss the old stories about a species called humans. The ancient books tell us they came from the third planet around a yellow star. The legends say these beings were warriors who never gave up, no matter how bad things got." Loud laughing sounds came from one section of the room. High Counselor Crixith stood up quickly. She looked like a giant insect with many eyes and sharp mouth parts. "Those are just children's stories, Ambassador," she said with a dismissive wave. No real species could do the impossible things described in those tales. Our scientists have studied every world that could support life for 3,000 years. If such creatures existed, we would have found them by now. Dr. Kalen Voss pressed a button on his control panel. He was the chief historian for the Federation, a group of peaceful worlds that loved learning about the past. Pictures appeared in the air above the council members. They showed old metal weapons, basic spacecraft designs, and worn stone tablets covered with strange writing. These objects were found on 17 different planets near the edge of our known space, Dr. Voss explained. All of them are about 5,000 years old. After that time, we find nothing. No more traces, no more evidence. Complete silence. Minister Yala spoke up from her floating chair. She had long, flexible arms like an octopus and spoke in a soft voice. "Maybe they destroyed themselves. Young species often do that when they learn how to split atoms or build powerful weapons." High above the council chamber, hidden from all their sensors, Admiral Jake Morrison watched everything through a secret camera drone. His ship, the UNS Defiance, floated invisible in space just outside the alien detection range. Morrison was an older man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes from years of hard decisions. He had spent most of his life preparing for this moment. Captain Lisa Grant sat next to him, looking at displays that showed the positions of hundreds of human ships. "We have 1,500 vessels ready, Admiral," she reported quietly. "The entire home fleet is here, plus ships from all our colony worlds. They still have no idea we have been watching them for months." Morrison nodded slowly. Humanity had been hiding in the darkness of space for many years, carefully studying these aliens while building their own strength in secret. Humans had learned to travel faster than light much later than most other species, but when they finally reached the stars, they brought something special with them. They had the wisdom of a people who had survived ice ages, deadly diseases, terrible wars, and times when they almost went extinct. "Sir," called Lieutenant Ben Carter from his station. "All fleet commanders are reporting ready. Wolfpack Squadron is holding position at the jump point. Titan Wing has the outer area secured. The Marine transport ships are loaded and waiting." Morrison kept watching the alien council on his screen. "What about our diplomatic team?" "Ambassador Patricia Adams is ready with the first contact procedures. She has studied every alien language and custom we have observed." Morrison stood up from his chair. He was tall and cast a long shadow across the bridge of his ship. 50 years of getting ready, people. 50 years of watching, learning, and waiting for the right time. Today humanity comes out of hiding." Down in the council chamber, the alien delegates kept arguing about whether humans were real or just old stories. They had no idea that the largest military force in human history surrounded their star system, waiting for one word from their commander. Dr. Voss continued showing pictures of human artifacts. "Look at these designs," he said, pointing to images of crude rockets and metal tools. "If these beings were real, they were clearly primitive. Their technology was thousands of years behind ours even in ancient times." "Exactly my point," said Crixith with another series of clicking sounds that meant laughter. "How could such backward creatures become the super warriors described in the legends? It makes no sense." "Perhaps the stories grew larger over time," suggested another delegate. "You know how tales change when people tell them over and over again." Admiral Morrison smiled grimly as he listened to their conversation. The aliens thought humans were either extinct or never existed at all. They had no idea that human ships had been secretly watching their wars, studying their weaknesses, and learning their languages for decades. Admiral, Captain Grant said softly. Should we proceed with the plan? Morrison looked one more time at the council chamber display. The aliens continued their debate, completely unaware that their entire understanding of the galaxy was about to change forever. These beings had built impressive civilizations, but they had also become comfortable and lazy. They thought they knew everything about the universe around them. Signal all ships, Morrison said firmly. It's time to make our presence known. Send the first contact message. Yes, sir, Lieutenant Carter replied, opening channels to the Galactic Council. In the council chamber, every communication device suddenly activated at the same time. A new voice filled the air, speaking in perfect universal standard language but with an accent none of them had ever heard before. Greetings, Galactic Council. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Nations Space Command. We request immediate permission to meet with you for formal first contact procedures. The chamber fell completely silent. Every delegate stared at their communication devices in shock. Dr. Voss dropped his datapad, and the clattering sound echoed in the quiet room. It cannot be, whispered Dr. Voss. The voice patterns, the language structure, by all the ancient codes they are actually human. High Counselor Crixth struggled to find her voice. Unknown fleet, you will leave this system immediately while we check your claims. Morrison's calm voice replied through their speakers. With respect, High Counselor, we have been watching your meetings for quite some time. We know your laws and procedures. Article 7 of the Galactic Accord gives any intelligent species the right to ask for recognition. We are here to use that right. The implications hit the aliens like a physical blow. If humans had been watching them, what else did they know? What other capabilities did they possess? The legends were not just stories after all. They were warnings. The daily meeting of the Galactic Council was going normally when sensor technician Veltar noticed something wrong with his equipment. The young alien had gills on his neck that fluttered when he was nervous, and right now they were moving very fast. He checked his instruments 3 times, hoping the readings were mistakes. High Counselor, he called out, his voice shaking. I am detecting massive energy readings at the edge of our star system. I count approximately 1,500 ships of unknown design. The entire chamber became quiet. Crixth turned her many eyes toward the technician with sharp focus. Unknown design? That is impossible. We have detailed records of every ship type in the galaxy. Putting it on the main display now, Veltar said as his claws clicked rapidly on his control panel. The large holographic projector came to life, showing a sight that shocked every delegate in the room. Sleek angular ships unlike anything in their databases hung in perfect formation in the darkness of space. These vessels looked nothing like the flowing curves that the hegemony preferred, the crystal structures of the Vraxian Empire, or the geometric shapes favored by the Federation. Ambassador Zethkar's crystal skin began to glow with nervous energy. Those hull shapes, they matched the artifacts we found in the old excavation sites. Before anyone could respond, every communication system in the council chamber turned on at the same time. The same voice they had heard before filled the air, speaking perfect universal standard but with that strange accent. Greetings again, Galactic Council. This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Nations Space Command. We are requesting immediate audience for formal first contact proceedings. Dr. Voss almost dropped his datapad. The language patterns are perfect. The ship designs match ancient records. By all the old laws, they really are human. High Counselor Crixth tried to stay calm, but her voice showed her fear. This is completely unprecedented. Unknown fleet, you must withdraw immediately while we verify your claims through proper channels. With respect, High Counselor, Morrison's voice remained steady but firm. We have been observing your proceedings for quite some time. We know your protocols very well. Article 7 of the Galactic Accord grants any sapient species the right to petition for recognition. We are here to invoke that right. On the bridge of the UNS Defiance, Morrison ended the transmission and turned to his staff officers. How are they taking the news, Commander? Commander Angela Brooks, the ship's intelligence officer, watched the alien communications carefully. Complete panic, sir. Half the delegates are calling for military action. The other half are frantically searching their databases for any reference to current human activity. Captain Grant studied the tactical displays on her screen. Sir, we are detecting movement from their defense fleets. Looks like 3 separate groups moving to attack positions. Morrison examined the enemy positioning with the eye of an experienced military commander. The aliens had approximately 800 ships scattered across their core systems. It was impressive by most standards, but humanity had learned the value of being prepared for anything. Signal the fleet. Maintain formation but prepare for defensive maneuvers, and get me Ambassador Adams. Several minutes later, Patricia Adams appeared on the council chamber floor using transport beam technology that immediately caught the aliens' attention. The ambassador was an impressive woman in her 40s with silver hair pulled back in a professional style. She wore the dark blue uniform of the diplomatic corps. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who had spent years preparing for this exact moment. "I am Ambassador Patricia Adams, representing the United Colonies of Humanity. We come in peace, seeking our rightful place among the galactic community." Minister Yala's tentacle arms moved nervously. "Your species was declared extinct 5,000 years ago. How do you explain your continued existence?" Adams smiled slightly. "Reports of our extinction were greatly exaggerated. Humanity has thrived in the shadows, building our civilization beyond your borders while learning about yours. We have watched your wars, studied your cultures, and prepared for this day." The full meaning hit the delegates like a physical blow. If humans had been watching them for years, what else did they know? What other capabilities did they possess that the galaxy was unaware of? "You have been spying on us," accused Ambassador Zethkar, his crystal form pulsing with anger. "We have been learning," Adams corrected calmly. "Every species studies others before making contact. The difference is that we had the luxury of time and the wisdom to use it well." Admiral Morrison's voice filled the chamber once more through the communication systems. "Ambassador Adams speaks for all of humanity. We seek peaceful integration into the galactic community, but we will not be dismissed or ignored. We have earned our place among the stars." Dr. Voss stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. "The artifacts we found suggested your species was primitive. How did you develop such advanced technology?" "We had excellent teachers," Adams replied with another slight smile. "Necessity, hardship, and the constant threat of extinction. Our homeworld was not kind to us. We learned to adapt or die." "Your ships," Minister Yala said, gesturing toward the tactical displays. "They are unlike anything we have seen. What power source could drive vessels of that size?" "Human ingenuity powered by human determination," Adams answered. "We learned to think differently about old problems. When you have survived ice ages, global wars, and near-extinction events, you develop a unique perspective on what is possible." High Counselor Crixith's compound eyes focused on the human ambassador. "You speak of survival, yet you approach us with a military fleet. This seems contradictory." "Not contradictory," Adams said firmly. "Practical. We come in peace, but we are not naive. Peace is only possible between equals. We wanted to ensure you understood that humanity is not a weak species seeking charity." On his bridge, Admiral Morrison watched the alien defense fleets continue their approach toward human positions. "Commander Brooks, what is the status of their military response?" 3 battle groups are moving to intercept us, Admiral. Approximately 800 ships total. They appear to be preparing for combat engagement." "And our fleet?" "All ships report ready for combat, sir. But the fleet commanders are requesting clarification on rules of engagement." Morrison considered his options carefully. This was the moment that would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy. They could demonstrate their power through destruction, or they could show their wisdom through restraint. "Signal all ships," he said finally. "If they attack, we defend ourselves. But we do not start this fight. Let them make the first move." In the council chamber, Ambassador Adams continued her diplomatic presentation despite the growing military tension. "We offer partnership, not conquest. We bring new perspectives, new technologies, and new solutions to old problems. But we also bring something else that your civilization seem to have forgotten." "What is that?" asked Dr. Voss. "The willingness to fight for what matters. The galaxy has grown comfortable, safe behind your combined might. But comfort breeds complacency, and complacency breeds weakness. Humanity remembers what it means to struggle for survival." The tactical displays showed the alien fleets drawing closer to engagement range. Every delegate in the chamber watched nervously as the possibility of galactic war grew larger, with each passing moment. "Choose carefully," Adams said quietly. "The next few minutes will determine whether humanity joins the galactic community as friends or stands alone as we have for so many years." The chamber held its collective, Breath as weapon systems on both sides prepared for what might become the most important battle in galactic history. The Galactic Defense Force moved with practiced precision as 800 warships approached the human fleet from 3 different directions. Admiral Kethmore of the Vraxian Navy had fought in 7 major wars and never met an enemy that could stand against the combined military might of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. All ships, maintain attack formation. His voice echoed across the command frequency to his fleet. We will give these humans one chance to withdraw before we show them why their species became nothing more than a legend. On the bridge of the Ves Crystalline Blade, Admiral Kethmore studied the human ship formations with growing confusion. Their vessels maintained perfect spacing, their energy signatures were completely unknown, and most disturbing of all, they showed no signs of panic or retreat. "Admiral," called his tactical officer, "I am reading some very unusual configurations on their ships. Those do not look like traditional weapon ports." Before Kethmore could respond, Admiral Morrison's voice cut through all communication channels. "Galactic Defense Force, this is Admiral Morrison. You are approaching a peaceful diplomatic mission. We strongly advise you to reconsider your current course of action." "Unknown fleet," Kethmore replied with authority. "You will withdraw from this system immediately, or face the full consequences of your actions." On the bridge of the UNS Defiance, Commander Brooks reported to Admiral Morrison, "Sir, all our ships are reporting full combat readiness. The Yamato Battle Group is requesting permission to demonstrate our defensive capabilities." Morrison nodded with grim determination. "Permission granted. Show them what human engineering can accomplish when survival is at stake." The UNS Yamato, a massive dreadnought that made most alien vessels look small, suddenly blazed with energy. Point defense laser systems that could track hundreds of targets at the same time came online. Missile tubes loaded with guided projectiles that could maneuver independently prepared for launch. Most impressive of all, kinetic barriers activated that could deflect energy weapons while allowing their own fire to pass through unchanged. "What in the name of the void?" Admiral Kethmore's voice trailed off as his sensors registered the human weapon systems. "Those energy outputs are impossible. No ship that size should be able to generate that much power." Captain Susan Walker, commanding the Yamato, opened a direct communication channel to the alien admiral. "Admiral Kethmore, you are approaching with hostile intent. Humans do not start fights, but we always finish them. Stand down now, or we will demonstrate why our ancestors conquered every environment on our home world." The alien fleet continued their approach, confident that superior numbers would win the day. They opened fire at maximum range, unleashing a massive barrage of plasma, bolts and fusion torpedoes that lit up the dark space between the two fleets like a deadly fireworks display. What happened next became known throughout the galaxy as the demonstration of human tenacity. The human ships did not dodge the incoming fire or retreat to safer positions. Instead, they activated their kinetic barriers and point defense systems, creating an intricate web of intercepting fire that neutralized 90% of the alien barrage. The remaining shots splashed harmlessly against energy shields that seemed to absorb and redirect the destructive force. "Impossible," breathed Admiral Kethmore as he watched his fleet's best weapons prove completely ineffective. "No species has developed that level of defensive technology." Captain Walker's voice was calm and almost conversational in tone. "You are about to learn what 5,000 years of constant warfare teaches a species, Admiral." The human fleet responded with surgical precision that defied all known military doctrine. Instead of using overwhelming firepower to destroy their enemies, they demonstrated accuracy that seemed impossible. Guided missiles weaved through alien formations like living things, targeting specific systems rather than attempting to destroy ships completely. Weapon systems went dark, engines lost power, and communication arrays sparked and died under precisely aimed shots. Within minutes, the entire Galactic Defense Force found themselves helpless, drifting in space with disabled ships but remarkably, no casualties at all. "How?" Admiral Kethmore stared at his darkened tactical displays in complete shock. "How did you disable our entire fleet without destroying a single vessel?" Morrison's voice answered from the Defiance, carrying a tone of patience mixed with authority. "Because, Admiral, humans learned long ago that the strongest weapon is not always the biggest gun. Sometimes it is knowing exactly where to aim and having the skill to hit that target every time." Back in the council chamber, the delegates watched the tactical displays in stunned silence. The most powerful military force in galactic history had been defeated in minutes without losing a single life. Ambassador Adams stood calmly in the center of the room, her expression never changing despite the chaos erupting around her. "As you can see," she said quietly to the shocked delegates, "humanity has spent our years in exile very wisely. We could have announced our presence with conquest and destruction. Instead, we chose to demonstrate our capabilities without taking a single life. That choice should tell you everything you need to know about our true intentions." High Counselor Crixth's mandibles clicked nervously as she processed what she had witnessed. "Your species has developed technology that surpasses our combined scientific achievements by centuries." "Not surpasses," Adams corrected with diplomatic precision. "Compliments. Humanity brings different solutions to universal problems. We have learned that survival is not about being the strongest or the smartest in any given situation. It is about adaptation, persistence, and the absolute willingness to keep trying when everyone else gives up." Dr. Voss stepped forward, his scientific mind trying to understand what he had witnessed. "The legend spoke of human endurance and determination, but we never imagined the reality would be so far beyond our comprehension. You never imagined we were real," Adams finished with a slight smile that held no malice. "But here we are, ready to take our place in the galactic community. The only question remaining is whether you are ready to accept us as equals." Minister Yala's tentacles curled in what her species considered a gesture of respect. "You could have destroyed our fleets completely. Why did you choose restraint?" "Because," Adams replied, "destruction is easy. Any species with sufficient technology can blow things up. Building something better requires wisdom, patience, and the ability to see beyond immediate problems to long-term solutions." Admiral Kethmore's voice came through the communication system from his disabled flagship. "Your tactical systems, your precision, your coordination. It suggests a level of military integration that should take centuries to develop." "It did take centuries," Admiral Morrison replied. "Human military doctrine has been refined through thousands of years of conflict. We learned hard lessons about the cost of war and the value of ending conflicts quickly and decisively, but without unnecessary casualties," added Captain Walker from the Yamato. "Every human ship carries medical teams trained to assist enemy wounded. Every human officer studies not just how to win battles, but how to minimize suffering for all involved." The implications slowly sank in for the alien delegates. This was not just a technologically advanced species returning to claim their place among the stars. This was a civilization that had learned to balance overwhelming military capability with genuine wisdom about when and how to use that power. "What do you want from us?" asked Ambassador Zethkar, his crystal form no longer glowing with nervous energy but with something that might have been hope. Ambassador Adams looked around the chamber at the representatives of dozens of species, each one trying to understand this new reality: partnership, cooperation, the chance to contribute to something larger than any single species could achieve alone. "And if we refuse?" asked Crixth. "Then you refuse," Adams replied simply. "We will not force ourselves on unwilling partners, but we will also not disappear back into the shadows. Humanity has returned to stay, with or without galactic acceptance." The chamber erupted in debate as the full implications became clear. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently, but perhaps in a way that made everyone stronger rather than weaker. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 18 hours after the fleet demonstration that had shocked every major civilization. Representatives from every known species crowded into the chamber, their conversations creating chaos as translators worked frantically to keep up with the flood of different languages. Ambassador Adams sat patiently in the center of the room, flanked by two human officers. Commander Rachel Stone was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien life forms. Colonel Pete Rodriguez was a military strategist whose calm demeanor masked decades of combat experience. Their relaxed attitude stood in sharp contrast to the agitated aliens surrounding them. High Counselor Crixth called for order, her compound eyes reflecting the stress of the past day. "We have reviewed the tactical reports from yesterday's encounter. Your fleet disabled 800 of our most advanced warships without causing a single casualty. This level of precision suggests military capabilities far beyond anything in our databases." Dr. Voss activated holographic displays, showing detailed analysis of the battle. Your weapons systems targeted specific subsystems with accuracy rates exceeding 99.7%. Our best computer simulations suggest this should be impossible without artificial intelligence networks that we cannot detect on your ships. Commander Stone leaned forward slightly in her chair. Doctor, you are partially correct. Human combat effectiveness comes from our integration of technology with natural instinct. We do not rely solely on artificial intelligence because our species learned to think like our machines while keeping our capacity for intuition and rapid adaptation. Explain this concept, demanded Ambassador Zethkar, his crystalline form pulsing with nervous energy. Colonel Rodriguez stood up, his military bearing marking him clearly as a career soldier. Humans evolved on what you would call a death world, Ambassador. Our planet threw everything imaginable at us over millions of years. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years, volcanic eruptions that blocked sunlight for decades, plagues that killed most of our population, predators that hunted us constantly, and climate changes that would have eliminated most other species completely. Every human receives basic military training from childhood, Adams added to the explanation. Not because we are naturally warlike, but because survival skills became part of our cultural DNA over countless generations. We think tactically about everything we do, from resource distribution to defensive positioning, from supply line management to threat assessment. This kind of thinking is completely natural to us. Minister Yala's tentacles curled skeptically around her chair supports. You claim to be peaceful, yet your entire culture appears to be built around preparation for warfare. No, Adams replied with firm conviction. Our culture is built around survival above all else. There is a very significant difference between the two concepts. We fight when we absolutely must, but we much prefer to solve problems through superior preparation and overwhelming competence rather than overwhelming destructive force. Dr. Voss pulled up historical records from his database. The ancient human artifacts we discovered showed clear evidence of massive global conflicts. Your species fought wars involving millions of individual casualties. Commander Stone nodded sadly as painful memories of human history filled her mind. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times throughout our development. The most important lesson we learned was not that war brings glory, but that war represents terrible waste of life and resources. When we finally reached the stars and left our homeworld behind, we carried that hard-earned wisdom with us. Which brings us directly to our current situation. Adams continued the explanation. We have observed your civilizations carefully for many decades. You have built truly impressive societies, but you have also grown dangerously complacent about external threats. The hegemony has not faced a serious military challenge in 3 centuries. The Federation's last major war ended 400 years ago. The Vraxian Empire expanded through intimidation and political pressure rather than actual conflict. Admiral Kethamore, attending the session via hologram from his disabled flagship, spoke with grudging respect in his voice. You studied our tactical weaknesses systematically. We studied everything systematically, Colonel Rodriguez confirmed without apology. Troop movements, supply chain vulnerabilities, communication protocols, technological limitations, political divisions, economic dependencies. Not to exploit these weaknesses for conquest, but to understand them completely. Knowledge equals survival in any dangerous situation. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter as the implications became clear. If humans had been watching them for decades, cataloging their capabilities and weaknesses with scientific precision, what else did they know that could threaten galactic security? Ambassador Adams raised her hand for silence, and surprisingly, the room became quiet almost immediately. We know about the Devourers. The chamber fell so silent that the ventilation system seemed loud by comparison. The Devourers were the galaxy's greatest nightmare, a machine intelligence from beyond the galactic rim that had consumed 12 entire star systems before mysteriously disappearing 500 years ago. High Counselor, Crixith's voice was barely above a whisper. The Devourers were completely destroyed. Our combined fleets eliminated them in the Battle of the Burning Nebula. No, Adams said quietly but with absolute certainty. They withdrew to the dark spaces between galaxies to rebuild their forces. Our deep space monitoring stations have been tracking their movements for the past 50 years. They are returning to our galaxy, and they are bringing significantly larger forces than before. Dr. Voss's face went completely pale as blood drained away. How many ships are we talking about? Commander Stone activated a holographic display showing the very edge of galactic space. Red markers indicated Devourer positions like a spreading infection of hostile contacts, moving steadily toward inhabited star systems. Conservative estimate based on our sensor data indicates approximately 50,000 ships, all equipped with adaptive technology that learns from each combat encounter. They have been analyzing records of your past conflicts, studying your tactical doctrines, and preparing specific countermeasures for every known weapon system and defensive strategy. And you have known about this threat without warning us? Minister Yala's tentacles writhed with indignation and barely controlled anger. We have been preparing for this threat, Adams replied calmly. The human fleet you witnessed yesterday represents our advanced reconnaissance force. We have 300 times that number of ships in reserve positions throughout human space, all equipped with weapons designed specifically to counter Devourer adaptive technology. The revelation hit the alien delegates like a physical blow to their collective consciousness. Humans had not just returned to announce their presence to the galaxy. They had returned as the galaxy's potential saviors against a threat that terrified every known civilization. Admiral Morrison's voice filled the chamber through the communication systems. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored delegates of all species, we did not reveal ourselves to conquer your worlds or to demonstrate our superiority. We revealed ourselves because this galaxy is about to face its greatest existential threat, and we believe that every sapient species deserves the opportunity to survive what is coming. Why would you help us? Ambassador Zethkar asked, his voice thick with genuine emotion. We dismissed your species as ancient legends. We attacked your fleet without provocation. Why would you risk your lives for civilizations that barely acknowledged your existence? Adams smiled, and for the first time since arriving, her diplomatic composure cracked slightly, revealing the human heart underneath the professional exterior. Because that is exactly what humans do, Ambassador. We show up when the odds seem completely impossible. We adapt to whatever the universe throws at us, and we never, ever give up on anything or anyone worth saving. The Devourer force will reach the first outer colonies in approximately 18 months, Commander Stone added with scientific precision. If we are going to stop them permanently, we need to start working together immediately. The chamber erupted in urgent debate as the full implications finally sank in. Humanity had returned not as conquerors seeking to dominate the galaxy, but as guardians bringing both the tools and the unwavering determination to face an enemy that had haunted galactic nightmares for centuries. 6 months after first contact, the combined defense station orbited the binary stars of the Nexus system like a massive artificial moon. The station was a joint construction project that defied every known engineering principle in galactic civilization. Human adaptability had merged perfectly with Vraxian crystalline technology, Federation manufacturing capabilities, and hegemony biomechanical integration to create something completely unprecedented in galactic history. Admiral Morrison stood in the station's central command center, studying holographic displays that showed the real-time position of every Allied ship throughout the galaxy. Beside him, High Admiral Crixeth, who had been promoted after volunteering to work directly with human forces, coordinated communications with fleet commanders representing 17 different species. Status report from all sectors, Morrison called out to his integrated staff. Commander Brooks, now serving as the primary liaison between human and alien communication systems, consulted her multiple displays. All defensive sectors report full readiness, Admiral. The Yamato battle group is maintaining position at Grid 77. Admiral Kethmore's crystalline fleet has completed total integration with our tactical networks. The Federation's mobile manufacturing ships are maintaining production schedules well ahead of projected requirements. And our enemy? Dr. Voss, now permanently assigned to the station's Xenological Research Department, manipulated a three-dimensional star chart showing the galactic edge in real time. Devourer forces have significantly accelerated their approach vector. We now estimate first contact will occur in approximately 72 hours at the Kepler outpost system. Morrison nodded grimly as he processed the information. The past months had been an incredible whirlwind of integration, training, and preparation unlike anything in galactic history. Humans had freely shared their tactical doctrines, adaptive technologies, and hard-earned survival strategies with every species willing to learn. In return, they had gained access to manufacturing capabilities, exotic technologies and cultural perspectives that greatly enhance their own defensive preparations. Admiral, called Captain Lisa Grant from the UNS Defiance, her image appearing clearly on the main communication screen. Human colonial fleets report successful completion of full evacuation procedures for all Outer Rim settlements. All civilian populations have been safely relocated to heavily defended core system positions. Acknowledged, Captain. What about the volunteer integration programs? Far exceeding all expectations, sir. We now have over 2 million non-human personnel who have successfully completed basic human tactical training programs. Apparently, our survival instincts and tactical thinking methods are somewhat contagious among other species. Ambassador Adams, now serving as Secretary General of the newly formed Galactic Defense Alliance, entered the command center with her aide, Captain Stone. Admiral, the Council has unanimously approved Resolution 2847. All member species are now formally committed to combined defense protocols under unified command structure. Even the traditionally isolationist hegemony, especially the hegemony, Minister Yala said, and I quote directly, "If these humans survived a death world and built this incredible fleet in complete secrecy, we would be absolute fools not to follow their tactical leadership." Morrison smiled grimly at the irony. Then let us hope we prove worthy of that trust and confidence. The first engagement came exactly as their calculations had predicted. Long-range sensor arrays detected the Devourer Vanguard entering the Kepler system right on schedule. The enemy ships were massive geometric vessels that seemed to absorb light itself, their hulls constantly shifting and adapting with each passing moment as their artificial intelligence systems processed new information. "Contact confirmed," reported Commander Brooks with professional calm. "Enemy force consists of approximately 500 vessels displaying various configurations. They appear to be actively scanning our defensive positions and fleet arrangements. Learning our patterns," Morrison confirmed what everyone already knew. "Exactly as we expected them to do. Signal all fleets throughout the galaxy to initiate Protocol Omega immediately. Across the entire galaxy, the combined armadas of 17 different species moved with precision that would have been completely impossible just months earlier. But they were not moving according to traditional battle plans or established tactical doctrines. Instead, they implemented what humans called adaptive chaos theory, a completely revolutionary tactical approach designed to prevent enemy learning by ensuring that no recognizable pattern ever repeated twice. The first wave of Devourer ships encountered the Vraxian crystalline fleet, fully expecting to face the traditional defensive formations they had analyzed extensively from historical battle records. Instead, they found themselves facing ships that scattered in seemingly random directions like startled birds, regrouped in configurations that defied all tactical logic, and struck from unexpected angles that made no strategic sense according to conventional military thinking. Devourer adaptive systems are struggling significantly to compensate for our tactical unpredictability, Dr. Voss reported from his sensor analysis station. Human chaos protocols are successfully preventing them from establishing effective countermeasures. "Second wave incoming," Brooks called out urgently. Much larger force this time, approximately 2,000 vessels displaying enhanced configurations. "Signal Admiral Cathmore. Execute Maneuver Tango 7 immediately." The second engagement proved even more chaotic and confusing for the Devourer forces. Human ships appeared to retreat in complete disorder, drawing the enemy into what looked like pursuit formations. Only when the Devourers had committed fully to the chase did they discover that the apparent retreat was actually an elaborate trap planned months in advance. Federation manufacturing ships, carefully disguised as harmless support vessels, suddenly activated hidden weapon systems that had been installed in secret. Hegemony bioships released massive clouds of adaptive nanobots that infiltrated Devourer computer networks and began sabotaging them from within. Human Marines trained in zero-gravity combat techniques that seemed physically impossible to other species successfully boarded enemy vessels and sabotaged critical systems from the inside. Enemy forces are fragmenting and attempting to withdraw for analysis and regrouping, reported Captain Grant from her tactical position. They are trying to escape to analyze what happened during these engagements. Do not allow them to escape, Morrison ordered with absolute authority. If they successfully withdraw to analyze our tactics and countermeasures, they will adapt to our strategies for future encounters. All ships pursue and eliminate with extreme prejudice. Show them what humans learned about the absolute necessity of persistence. The battle continued raging for 18 continuous hours across multiple star systems simultaneously. When the fighting finally ended, the combined Allied fleet had achieved something that no galactic civilization had managed in 500 years of sporadic conflict. They had completely destroyed an entire Devourer force without losing a single Allied vessel to enemy action. Final casualty report. Morrison requested as the last enemy signals disappeared from their sensors. Minimal losses, sir. 47 personnel wounded, mostly from dangerous boarding actions against heavily defended enemy ships. 0 fatalities among Allied forces. Devourer forces suffered 100% casualties with no survivors detected. Ambassador Adams appeared on the main communication screen, her face showing complete exhaustion mixed with tremendous relief. Admiral, I am receiving urgent communications from across the entire galaxy. Every single member species is reporting successful defensive actions. The Devourers attacked 17 different star systems simultaneously in a coordinated assault, and we successfully defeated them in every single engagement without exception. What about their main invasion force? Dr. Voss consulted his long-range sensor networks that had been monitoring deep space for months. Withdrawing rapidly beyond the galactic rim at maximum possible speed. Initial analysis suggests they have concluded that this galaxy is no longer a viable target for conquest. Hi. Admiral Crix's compound eyes reflected something that might have been profound admiration mixed with grateful respect. In only 6 months, you taught us tactical methods that defeated an enemy we had feared for 5 centuries. How does an entire galaxy thank a species that saved our complete civilization from extinction? Morrison looked around the integrated command center at the mixed crews of humans and aliens, working together with seamless efficiency that had seemed impossible just months ago. You already have thanked us, Admiral. You gave us exactly what every human dreams of finding among the stars, a place to truly belong, and a cause that was worth fighting for. The galaxy is safe from the Devourer threat, Adams announced to the assembled representatives, and humanity is no longer just an ancient legend. We have finally found our home. In the weeks and months that followed this victory, the Galactic Council formally welcomed humanity as a founding member of the newly created United Species Alliance. Human colonies spread throughout previously uninhabited star systems, always with allied species as equal partners rather than conquered subjects. The sea